We're now joined by the Attorney General of the great state of New Jersey, Matt Platkin. Mr. Attorney General, good to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me, Steve.
Now, I was joking with you right before we went on the air. It is actually the 18th of March. And I said, who did you sue today in the Trump administration? And we're joking about it, but here's the question. A, what are the most pressing lawsuits that you have engaged in with other attorneys general across the country? And B, why do they matter so much to the state of New Jersey and the 9 million people in the state? Loaded question, I know, Matt, but go ahead.
Well, Steve, look, I've said since November 5th and certainly since January 20th, no one, myself included, is questioning whether the president is duly elected. He is. He won the election. And with that comes broad powers. He can pursue the policies that he sees fit for this country. But every president who has ever been elected in this country has powers that are constrained by the laws of this nation and by the Constitution of this nation. So I said very clearly, if he abides by the law, even if I disagree with him, that's not the test. It's whether what he does violates our laws, violates the Constitution, and importantly, hurts the 9.5 million people who live here. Then I have an obligation and swore an oath to step in and protect them. And that's what we've done over the last 2 months or so, whether it be stepping in to protect this state from trillions of dollars in frozen spending that Congress appropriated, things like Medicaid, funding for our schools, funding for our seniors.
Mr. Attorney General Matt Platkin, let's take them one at a time. Let's start with education funding.
Sure.
The president has said, along with Elon Musk, our goal is to eliminate the Federal Department of Education. I'm not the first one to say that, and maybe the first one to do this much in that regard. And we're slashing the number of employees and federal aid for certain programs. Why the lawsuit? And again, what would those cuts of employees and federal money mean to the students in public schools in New Jersey?
Well, it'd be devastating to the students, it'd be devastating to their families, and it'd be devastating to the educators who are paid by federal programs that were put in place by Congress. And that's the key.
Give us an example. Give us an example.
So sure. So if you're a parent of a kid with special needs, a parent of a kid with, say, autism, odds are your student, your child, goes to school every day and receives services, including aids and other services that are paid for by the federal government. The state of New Jersey receives $500 million a year from the federal government to support kids with special needs. President Trump and Elon Musk would wipe that away without even bothering to go through the legally appropriate route, which is to go to Congress. The same thing Ronald Reagan tried to do when he tried to eliminate the Department of Education. He was unsuccessful. This president has not tried. Despite having majorities in both chambers in Congress, he hasn't tried to get a law passed that does what he wants to do. And the reason for that is because it's not easy to do that politically, to take billions of dollars away from kids with special needs. So instead, what he's doing is he's acting like a king and trying to withhold funding or fire all these employees who administer these programs unlawfully. And that's when you're stepping in and hurting kids in my state and their families who go to school or drop them off at school every day just hoping they get the care that they are legally entitled to, then I have an obligation to step in and protect them.
But hold on. You actually think that you believe the president and Elon Musk, but the president is the constitutionally elected leader of this country in the executive branch. You believe he genuinely wants to hurt public school children in New Jersey and across the nation with special needs? You think that's his agenda?
That's what he said. He has said, I want to end the Department of Education. His Secretary McMahon, who he put in place, said very clearly that she wants to end the department that she took an oath to run.
But they're not targeting those, Matt. They're not, respectfully, Attorney General Platkin, they never said we want to hurt those kids. Are you saying de facto that is the byproduct of it? Because they never said we're trying to go after those kids or cut their funding.
Steve, as we laid out very clearly in the lawsuit, when you end the Department of Education, you are hurting those kids because we do not have the capacity to administer those grants. When you fire thousands of workers, they attempted to fire 50% of the employees for the Department of Education. And it goes beyond, as horrific as it is for kids with special needs. They gutted the Office of Civil Rights, which protects our daughters from sexual harassment and assault in schools. And they've completely eliminated those offices. So it is just a fact that the effect of their actions is to hurt residents in our state, including our youngest kids.
Attorney General, do you think they know that? Or do you not even care whether they know it or not? because you believe that's the byproduct and you're looking to stop them?
I think it would be impossible not to know the impact of their harms. And they have been talking about this for years. This is not some secret plan. They put it in black and white in Project 2025 and said one of their goals is to get the federal government out of the education business by ending the Department of Education. And with that, ending federal funding streams that we rely upon.
Talk about higher ed. March 5th, I'm trying to keep track of these lawsuits, Attorney General Platkin. 21 other attorneys general secured a nationwide preliminary injunction in Massachusetts versus NIH, the National Institutes of Health. What the heck is this suit? What does it have to do with the National Institutes of Health and research dollars, billions of research dollars that the Trump administration is looking to cut? Please.
Well, first off, you know that we've filed a number of suits. We've been undefeated in our suits so far. We've obtained injunctions or restraining orders in every single one of them, just like we were successful in the first Trump administration, an unprecedented rate. And that's because this administration, the first Trump administration, and now the first 2 months of this administration has violated the law and hurt our residents at an unprecedented rate. And that NIH suit is a great example of a cut that devastates both the residents of our state, frankly, the residents of every state, as well as their local economies.
How so?
Because the NIH has contracts and put grants in place, and the federal government, without following proper legal processes, changed those in ways that would cut their grants substantially. So what does that mean? It means in most states, your largest employer, your university system, gets crushed. It means that if you're a patient undergoing a clinical trial for cancer or Alzheimer's research, cut literally without any notice. It means that kids who go to these schools relying upon certain services won't get them. And they did that without any warning, and they couldn't even explain what it is they're trying to accomplish. They use the term DEI as some sort of catch-all. They've done it in K through 12 education. They're doing it in higher ed. Well, let me be clear. The way they describe it, recognizing Black History Month would mean you lose your federal funding. The President of the United States had a Black History Month event in the Oval Office. So by his own terms, he's violating. And what they've done is given no notice to these huge institutions. Senator Britt from Alabama came out very concerned because the University of Alabama is the largest employer.
Senator Britt is a Republican?
She's a Republican from Alabama, and she's expressed concerns. So I can't speak to why they are not joining our lawsuits, but I can tell you the NIH cuts, the Department of Education cuts would devastate our state just like it would devastate all 50 states.
So, Attorney General, so when they say we're cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, that's what we are doing, and that's what the American public elected the president to do, you say?
Look, if the effort is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, I'll be the first to sign up for it. Everyone should be committed to that, and we are. And frankly, I've taken that on here at home. But the so-called DOGE effort to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, run by the world's richest man who receives billions and billions of dollars a year from the federal government in grants and subsidies to his private businesses, which, by the way, he hasn't cut a single one of them. He hasn't cut a single one of his own grants.
But the president argues that Elon Musk is volunteering to do this. He's not being paid. His business is being hurt, particularly Tesla. So he should be rewarded for it. Not rewarded, but acknowledged for it, as opposed to being demonized, you say?
Again, he hasn't touched a single one of the billions of dollars he receives. He's gutted agencies that have multiple enforcement actions against his company, and he's acting like an oligarch. Look, if he wants to go after waste, fraud, and abuse, I will be the first one to sign up for it. But gutting waste, fraud, and abuse does not translate to eliminating the jobs for people who protect our nuclear arsenal or who make sure planes land on time and safely. That's what he has done.
Is it fair to say that your agenda as Attorney General and the things that you wanted to do in New Jersey is being dominated and frankly taken over to a large degree by actions of the federal government through the Trump administration because that's the highest priority?
No, I don't think that's fair to say, Steve. And I think you just have to look at some of the actions we've taken. Just earlier this month, one of the largest busts of an opioid manufacturing ring in state history, 500,000 doses of fentanyl and other opioids taken off the street. We've taken on social media companies that have targeted our kids, driven gun violence down to historically low levels, 2 years running, the lowest level of gun violence we've seen. Auto thefts down 11%. burglaries driving them down. My job is to keep our residents safe. That's what I do every single morning till when I go to sleep at night. That's my job. And I'll keep them safe from drug dealers and drug traffickers or human traffickers or the federal government if they're going to hurt our residents. Trust me, I wish we didn't have to file these suits. Nothing would make me happier. But when you're telling families of kids with special needs they're going to lose their services unlawfully, when you're telling seniors, as happened when Medicaid was frozen, that they may be thrown out of their nursing homes or their Medicaid cards won't be accepted, I have an obligation to step in for them. When this literally happened, when I get a notice saying the drug trafficking task force, the HIDTA task force, which we use to go after the drug cartels, the HIDTA task force, when we use to go after the drug trafficking cartels that are killing our residents, when that gets frozen, as I received a notice that it was unlawfully, I have an obligation to step in and protect them. So this work is just a part of what we do here. I recognize it gets a lot of attention. It is a part of what we do to keep our residents safe.
On immigration, illegal immigration, what do you see your role being? And by the way, we just had the head of the State Troopers Association, Wayne Blanchard, with us, who argued that it's confusing because the Attorney General has said in the state of New Jersey that the state police should not be interacting with ICE, the federal folks responsible for immigration. And my question to him, and now to you, is if the federal government, Attorney General Platkin, and the state government law enforcement professionals are not coordinating and working together as it relates to deportation efforts, then what?
Well, with all due respect to Wayne, the state police haven't said that, and we just issued guidance with the State Association of the Chiefs of Police and the 21 county prosecutors reminding them of the rules that have been in place now for 7 years, upheld by federal courts up to circuit courts, including appointees by President Trump, appointees across the ideological spectrum, because what the directive does is very straightforward. It doesn't say what you just said. It says that we want law enforcement officers to focus on the work that keeps people safe. If you're somebody who's committed a violent crime or a serious crime, of course they coordinate with ICE to deport you.
But what
we want to prosecute you, hold you accountable here first, and then deport you. We do that.
But if ICE moves in, sorry for interrupting, but if ICE moves in because they get a directive from the White House, we need to go into this restaurant, this whatever, this bodega, this hospital, this whatever, we're going in because we believe that there are gang members, that whatever. And you say, well, no, state police can't help you because we don't have evidence of a crime. Is that what you're saying?
Again, the directive is quite clear. First of all, that situation hasn't happened. So let's be very upfront. What the administration—
You don't think it will? You don't think it will?
I can't speak to them. The administration, frankly, has been very ineffective at doing what they say they're going to do, which is why they're getting frustrated. But here's the key point. If you're a gun violence victim or a sexual assault victim or a victim of human trafficking, and you've done nothing wrong, do we want you saying you're not going to call 911 because you might have a family member who you're afraid is getting deported? Or do we want you to call 911 so we can arrest the people who are hurting you and hurting our communities and hold them accountable? Or do we want cops in New Jersey spending their time breaking in, and as this administration has said, going into schools and hospitals and churches after nonviolent people who have no criminal history?
And they've gone into restaurants in Newark. Go ahead.
And with no criminal histories. That's what we think law enforcement should be doing. The state has said that we want them focused on activities that are going to keep our residents safe and build trust with our communities. This is not controversial in the law enforcement community. It's been upheld by federal courts, again, including by appointees of this president. And frankly, we just issued guidance with the broader law enforcement community that reaffirms it. So, I think there's been a lot of talk. No one, myself included, has ever suggested that this would be some kind of sanctuary. If you committed a crime here, you're going to be held accountable here, and then we're going to help you get.
But if you're here illegally, is that a crime? You've done nothing else wrong. You didn't steal anything. You broke no laws other than the fact you're here illegally. Is that, in fact, Attorney General Platkin, a crime?
Well, under federal law, it's not, first of all. And then second of all, let's talk about what we're referencing with these communities.
Got a minute left. Go ahead.
People who have committed no crime here, who pay taxes here, who run businesses here, who have served in law enforcement. We've stood up for dreamers who are raising American kids here, who have American families here, who pay their taxes here, who have done nothing wrong. Those are the people that they're trying to demonize.
But if they
If
haven't
you've
gone
committed
through
a
the
serious
process,
if you've committed a serious crime, there is nothing in state law or that I have said or would ever say that is giving you protection here.
But is
We're
it
going to
a
go after
crime
you.
to
We're
have
going to
not
hold you
gone through-
accountable. We're going to hold you accountable, and then you're going to be removed from this country. But I think the victims of crimes in New Jersey deserve their justice too. And what this administration is saying is that they don't.
We're almost out of time, but I want a yes or no on this if I can get one. And it's tough with a lawyer like you to get a yes or no on this one. Is it a crime to be here illegally if, in fact, you did not go through the legal process to become a citizen? Is that against the law?
Steve, I answered it. In most cases under federal law, it's a civil violation. And here's,
Okay.
and again, we are focused on driving drug trafficking down, taking on human trafficking, reducing gun violence to historically low levels. I'm extraordinarily proud of the 42,000 law enforcement officers we have in this state that have done that work to a level that is looked at across the country as a model. And I think what we've done here is kept our residents safe.
Matt Platkin is the Attorney General of the great state of New Jersey with 9.5 million residents. Attorney General Platkin, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Steve.
Great. I'm Steve Adubato. That's the Attorney General. We'll see you next time.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, Hackensack Meridian Health, New Jersey Children's Foundation, Kane University, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, New Jersey Sharing Network, the Turrell Fund, a foundation serving children, United Airlines, and by NJM Insurance Group. Promotional support provided by Insider NJ and by Meadowlands Chamber.
Next, please. Okay, we need a neutral expression. Sir, you're smiling.
Oh, am I?
Over 1 million lives in the U.S. have been saved by organ donation. So when you choose to become a donor, you're doing something good, which can make you feel really good.
Next.
Register today at njsn.org.